Hello, and welcome to America's Veterans. My name is Len Sorotsky, and I will serve as your host. We could call this show Local Boy Does Good for His Country for 21 years, then comes to Bradenton and does good for his community all over again. That would be a very long title, but it would be the truth. His name is Melvin Evans. His life began in Sarasota. He has received numerous awards, and his life has been so full and so happy that only he can tell us about all the things that he has done. Our very special guest, Melvin Evans. Melvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Len.
No, don't call me Mr. Len. Call me Len. Tell us about your birth family and where you were and who your brothers and sisters were and all that sort of thing.
Well, I was born in Sarasota Memorial Hospital in 1961 in February. My mom is originally from Sarasota. She's a native. My father is from Mississippi, around Laurel.
Yeah.
I have two brothers and two sisters. My older brother, Kenneth, is now deceased. And I have my sisters, both still reside in Sarasota. My other brother is up in Perry.
Wow. Okay. And so I assume you went to school in Sarasota.
Yes.
And then high school was at Sarasota
Sarasota High School.
Yeah, well, that's complicated, isn't it? Yeah. And while you were in high school, you were a part of JROTC?
Yes.
Right? And so you had a kind of a military orientation pretty much all your life, right? I mean, you felt like something military. And
yeah.
How did you, once you were through at school, how did you get into the military?
1 week after graduating, I immediately went to basic training at Fort McClellan, Alabama. I didn't want to stick around. And
that's this one here, right?
yes.
That's your basic training. Wow. Okay, so you did, basic is always fun. Everybody has a good time with that. So when you finished basic, did you get a job right away? Were you?
When I finished basic training, my first duty assignment was White Sands, New Mexico.
White Sands.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we know about White Sands? We know something about that. I know. What is that? Is that?
Well, I had multiple duties while I was there at White Sands. I was a patrol supervisor for installation, security, and law enforcement control. I also was trained in traffic accident investigation, as well as I have taught and was trained to operate the radar system.
And how about any missiles or any of that stuff? Did you see any of that?
Yeah, part of our duties, Lynn, was to block the highways for any type of missile firing coming out of Redstone Arsenal or any other place from the United States. We had certain large target areas that needed to be secured. We have to check those areas and evacuate anyone that might be in the impact area so we don't have any casualties or mishaps.
Yeah. Wow. So some of these things, and I'm going to hold this up, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see it for the camera, but this gives you an idea. White Sands was like, that was our first launches and stuff were out there, right, in White Sands?
For the space shuttle?
Space shuttle.
Well, that particular photo group is of STS-3, which is the third flight. The first two flights landed in California, and when California was having bad weather in 1982, it came to New Mexico as a backup.
But you did that right out of boot camp, right? You were right into military police, and
Yes.
man, that's putting a load on a young guy. I mean, you're only 18, right? At the time?
Yes.
Man, oh man. Okay, so you stayed in White Sands for 3 years,
Yes.
and then you were off.
Yes.
Where'd you go?
We went to Stuttgart, Germany.
Stuttgart. Okay. And now I know you were there for several years. The first time you were there, 4 years?
3 years at
Three.
Patch Barracks.
Okay. And while you were there, can you tell us a little bit about the work you did?
Yes, I can. And my duties at Patch Barracks was to operate the access control to the installation on the gates by checking IDs, searching cars to make sure that there was nothing illegal or dangerous like coming in on the base itself.
So you were a base guard? Is that what you call that?
Well, we call it palace guard.
Palace.
Because you have access control to the base, you have access control to each and every secure building.
Man, that's a lot of stuff. And you also, if I'm not mistaken, that one piece is from Germany, isn't it?
Yes.
And that was for?
That's a German Marksmanship award where you are trained to operate 3 different host nation weapons, submachine gun, pistol, regular rifle. And depends on where your qualification or how well you shoot, you either get bronze, silver, or gold. Obviously, I'm bronze, so I didn't do that
Can
well.
you hold that up just a little bit? Just hold it straight up like that. And so you were a German marksman is what it amounts to, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Did you bring any of those weapons home with you when you came home?
Not unless I want to go to jail, no.
But you like Stuttgart.
Yes.
Right. And then let's see, you were there from 82 to 86, I had in my notes. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And didn't something else happen in 87? Yeah. After Stuttgart, you were released for 6 months?
Yes.
Is that right? And what does that mean?
I mean, I took a short break out of the military.
Okay, so you were
so I
actually
came back.
discharged.
I was discharged, yes.
Oh, okay. For 6 months.
I came home and didn't like what I found, so I went back.
Yeah, that's often the case. Yeah. And so where did you go back?
We went to Kaiserslautern, Germany.
Say that again.
Kaiserslautern, Germany.
Kaiserslautern, Germany. Okay, and that was a place that you really liked, right? I mean, for several different reasons, maybe?
Yeah, while I was at Kaiserslautern, Germany, I was trained and became part of the commanding general's close protection team, where we pretty much, it's like a mini version of the Secret Service, where we follow the general, we secure the compound, we make sure that nothing happened to any foreign dignitaries. And in the midst of all that, that's also where I met my lovely wife of 30 years now.
She's very nice, yeah. Does she have a name?
Her name is Uta.
Uta.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're jumping ahead here a little bit maybe, but you and Uta also had children, right? Eventually.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to talk about them now or later?
And I'm not that great about talking about my family. I'm sorry.
Oh, and that's all right. That's all right. But anyway, you took that 6-month thing. You came home, went back to Germany.
Yeah.
And you did good in Germany. You did everything. It seems to me. But were you willing to stand in front of a bullet for the general or whoever was you were guarding?
Yes, that actually have been proven to become an automatic thing. You really don't think you would do it, but when things really happen, you actually do it without thinking twice.
Did you wear a vest at all?
No.
No? Whoa, okay. All right. So, 3 years there at Kaiser. You got married in '87. That's a long time ago. Yeah, good for you. And then you went back to Stuttgart again. And that trip, I had down 88 and 90. You were there. And I have to interrupt myself. I want to show the audience this book. In all the years I've been doing this show, and with all of the men and women that I have met, I don't know any who was so good at keeping records. I went through this book, Melvin loaned it to me, and I took it home and I went through every page. I wish we could do that here, but I know we can't. It just won't work. But in here, it shows that Melvin graduated from or took courses from several different universities and military training. Holy cow. He was like in every school in the Army that the Army had to offer. And then let's see, at White Sands, you were there, we mentioned that. And then you went to, is it at this time that you got involved with Egypt from Germany?
No, sir.
No.
Egypt is when I was stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Wait a minute. So, okay, I lost track. It's easy to lose track of Melvin's record. You were at Stuttgart in '89 and '90, and something special happened then, right?
That was when I was sent out to Desert Storm.
Yeah.
During that time frame.
And really, I'm fairly familiar with military history, but the idea of Melvin just referred to it as Desert Storm. I think we have a hard time keeping track of what happened at that time. And many of you will remember when the Iraqis went into Kuwait, and that's what got it started. Saddam Hussein never believed that the United States would come into Kuwait, and he was wrong. We did go in. We spent a ton of money while we were there. I'm talking billions. And Desert Shield was the name given to the preparation that led up to Desert Storm, which was the invasion that we performed. And let me read you just a little bit that I took off my screen at home. The Gulf War, August 1990 to February of 1991, codenamed Operation Desert Shield, leading to the buildup of troops and defense of Saudi Arabia, and Operation Desert Storm. The war is also known under other names, such as the Persian Gulf War, First Gulf War, Gulf War I, Kuwait War, First Iraq War, or the Iraq War. So no wonder it's confusing. We can't keep track of what the heck we were even doing. And one of the books that Melvin loaned me is this Desert Jayhawk. Now, were you a part of that? Is that what you were doing when you went?
Well, that book just covers, it's part of the 7 Corps Commanders magazine. Right. They just show what some of the units had done during Operation Desert Storm.
And I did read it, and it's pretty darn interesting. I mean, if you can imagine the equipment that we had to move from here to there, my gosh, it's a real bundle of stuff. Not to mention the men who went over there. And Saddam Hussein was really pretty surprised that we would do that. But we had to protect, what he wanted were the oil fields. What we wanted was to keep him from the oil fields. And during the war, they did set fire to the oil fields. And those of us who were here then watched it on TV, how the oil fields were just set ablaze. And, oh, man, that was a horrible, but a very quick war. Do you know how long Desert Storm was?
It was 100 hours.
Yeah, 100 hours. 100 hours in there, 5 days. And they surrendered. So, geez, I wish that would happen all the time, but it just doesn't. Well, anyway, okay. So you're, how close into Desert Storm did you get, Mel?
Originally, I believe we were supposed to be 13 miles behind the frontline tanks, and we wind up over 100 miles behind them, but they were rolling so fast we couldn't keep up.
Yeah, good idea. 100 miles back. Yeah, good. Okay, so then after Desert Storm, where'd you go?
Well, after Desert Storm, we came back to Germany, to Stuttgart, Germany, and then 7th Corps, our main headquarters were deactivated, and then we were redeployed to Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, wow. Now you're in Louisiana. Okay, I think I missed that. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Fort Jackson. Oh, I had Fort Jackson, South Carolina. That's different. Fort Polk, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. You were there, and that was a military base, right? A military police base?
No, sir. That's a Joint Task Force Readiness Command. It was a new command that was just being started, that was bringing all the fighting forces from different branches and different countries into one big, large training cycle.
Wow. And you spent, come to think of it, much of the time, you worked with the Air Force, didn't you?
Yes.
You were an Army sergeant working with the Air Force.
Yeah.
In fact, you were an Army sergeant working with anybody who wanted you, just from all of these medals and the bars that you have. I mean, this is just phenomenal, Melvin. I don't know how you close your shirt. Your chest must be ready to burst any minute for all the things that you have done in your life. And then after or from Fort Polk, then you went to Egypt? Is that the idea?
While I was at Fort Polk, part of our training cycle was to do another Joint Readiness Training Command called Operation Bright Star in Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah. And this is small, so you won't be able to see it. But this is his identification card.
Yes.
While he was in Egypt, and wow, I've been to Egypt too, but not for that reason. I spent 3 weeks in Egypt. What a great place! But so you were in Egypt.
Yes.
After Egypt, what comes next?
After Egypt, we were brought back to Fort Polk, Louisiana. Then I was transferred to the next military police company, which was the 204th, and then I was then redeployed to Honduras.
To Honduras. What do you have from Honduras? Anything? I remember. I can't remember if I saw something in there. I probably did.
It did. I brought a plaque with me, but I didn't think it was cleaned up enough to be on television.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's okay. And so you were in Egypt for 30 to 60 days. Then you came home, changed clothes, and went to Honduras.
Yeah.
And after Honduras, where'd you go then?
After Honduras, we came back to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and then from there I separated from the military.
Okay, and you decided you'd had enough. How many years did you put in?
Well, at that point, I had 14 years on active service, and then when I came back to Florida, I joined the National Guard.
Right. And you stayed in the National Guard. Well, are you still in the National Guard?
No, sir. No. I retired in 2001.
Oh, okay, so you finally retired. So with the National Guard and active duty and all the other military stuff, you had over 21 years, yes. Right? That's not bad. And then you came home, and you brought your wife and family.
Yes.
With, and of course, when you're in the military, it's kind of hard to keep track of kids. I mean, because you're not home all that much, probably. And they didn't go with you to Egypt or Honduras, I'm sure.
No, they stayed with my wife, Uta, who did a phenomenal job on taking care of the family and raising the kids in my absence. Right. And even when I came home, she still continued to do a phenomenal job on raising the children.
Yeah, that's great. Can you tell us anything at all about where the children are today?
Well, my eldest, which is my daughter, Vanessa, she's working for a public relations firm out of Tampa at this moment. My elder son, Kevin.
Wait, excuse me. Yes. Your oldest daughter, didn't she go to school?
Yes, she graduated from Florida FSU.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make that a point.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and number two?
My oldest son, Kevin, is presently in management at Best Buy in Minnesota. And he's presently taking online college. He should be graduating here within the next few months himself.
Okay, that's number two. Then we get to number three.
Number three, Darian. He lives with us still. He tried to go out on his own, but as we know, college expense is pretty high, so he's back with us, but he's still continuing with college. He changed his major. He's now going after a teaching degree. And he's already graduated with his AA degree. He's working on the next one.
Sure. Yeah. Well, good. And you should be proud of that, to have three kids all either college bound or college graduates, and all they sound like steady people. They got jobs right away and everything, and that's super duper. So you came home. Not Sarasota, though. You came to live in Bradenton?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a better place anyway. And here you are in Bradenton, and you have been working for Walmart?
Walmart. Yeah.
For how many years?
I've been with Walmart now for about 19 years. 19
years. And Walmart, over and over again, Melvin gets awards from Walmart for another year of no accidents as a safety leader and so on. And that's absolutely fantastic. And so you work in a Walmart not too far from here anyway, over on Cortez Road. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, yeah. So that's cool. All right. Now, what is your current life? What are your plans?
Well, right now my plans are I have 30 years of promises that I have made for the wife, that when the kids are growing out on their own, that we will start living life, traveling, and spending some time together, and we're currently working on that list.
Yeah.
We starting tomorrow morning, we have a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee
Oh, man.
for about 4 days.
Yeah. Where are you going to stay, do you know?
They've already picked out a hotel for us in Pigeon Forge,
Oh.
so we haven't been there yet.
That's one of my favorite places. That's really fantastic. First time I went to Pigeon Forge, I went there because they had a 2-week long celebration of Veterans Day. And I thought that was just fantastic, and I had to go see it, and and I did, and I've been there several times, and you'll love that part of the Eastern Tennessee is just really a fantastic place to be. And travel, that's pretty much the same thing that my wife and I did when we retired from teaching and education. Between us, we had 73 years in that business. And all the while we said, we want to see the world. And so we followed you to Egypt. We did go there, and we've been to China, and we've been to Russia, and we've been to Germany, and I love Germany. We went to the Munich Beer Hall, and had a great time in there. You were probably there a few times.
Well, I've been to several festivals in Germany, but
man.
being a non-drinker, the beer halls are not exactly.
Well, I want to make sure everyone sees your these are armbands, right?
Yes.
And the MP Awards, and could you tell us about that middle one?
The middle award was given to me by some of my soldiers when I was leaving the station to get transferred somewhere to another duty station, and my second platoon, all the soldiers got together, made a collection, and bought me a plaque as a going away gift.
Boy, that's really nice. That's really nice. Well, now, what have I not asked you? What should I have asked you more?
Come to think of it, I'm not really sure. I just know that without my wonderful wife, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've gotten.
Of
wouldn't
course.
be the person that I am.
Yeah, and that's right. We're not going to put her on camera,
Right.
but I can believe that. But before we end up closing the show, I just wanted to. I can't help but be caught by that volleyball player.
Oh yeah, that thing.
What was that all about?
That was this trophy it's the first trophy that I've ever won in my life. And it's basically the volleyball trophy from a family day ceremony at the 385th MP Battalion. And being a player coach of the volleyball team from my company, we played volleyball teams from several other companies within the battalion. And I kind of got on the bad side of some of the other coaches, so we had to play. We played for the trophy. My team won the first set, but they didn't like the outcome, so they made us replay it again. So then we beat the favorite team for the second time, and we were awarded the trophy.
Man, oh man! And then can you tell us just a little bit about some of those ribbons that you got there, or whatever you want to?
These are my military awards.
Tip the card up.
Well,
Yeah.
well, this is the rank that I retired as with Staff Sergeant.
Staff Sergeant, yeah.
The pin in the middle is from 385th MP Battalion, their creed. The thing says it's hard to see it, I'm sorry. Defend, protect, and assist.
Yeah.
And the ribbons themselves are my unit awards, like citation that the unit win for having such a phenomenal record. This one here, this ribbon is from the Joint Military Air Force Army.
And then when you got out, you ended up getting a retired badge, right? Retirement badge or something?
Yes. When I retired, I was actually...
Hold that up, Chris. in there?
When I retired from the National Guard, I was actually in air defense. But being that I was so long as a military policeman, they actually listed me as a retired MP, and my air defense became secondary.
Yeah, when you were, I missed this. You worked with the Air Force.
Yes.
And what did you do when you were working with the Air Force? Did you say that already?
No, with the Air Force in Honduras. Let's see, where I'm gonna start at. Well, White Sands, New Mexico, with the Air Force, we was actually just assigned to their base. We were still operating under the Army, but we were assigned to the base to help with the missile firing and the secure of the impact areas.
Yeah.
Kaiserslautern, Germany, we actually worked a joint law enforcement patrols with the Air Force to help police the community and secure all the bases. Then when I worked with the Air Force in Honduras, I was part of the Joint Task Force Commanders Close Protection Team, again, like a small version of CIA. We take a bullet for him, so evacuate him if he needed to be. We also helped secure the general at the U.S. Embassy in Tegucigalpa, which is Honduras. And also, we also secure any visiting dignitaries, being the United States or any other country.
Yeah.
We secure their compounds as well.
I would like to be able to find specific ones, but I knew I wouldn't be able to do this. It's just too many. But I know you received letters from individual officers, your commanding officers. This one, here's a good one. Bright Star. That's his Egypt trip, and this is awarded to Sergeant Melvin Evans, and it's signed by the commander. But I wanted to share Operation Desert Storm, but I know I'm sloppy, but that's okay.
May I bring up one thing, sir?
I'm sorry?
May I bring up one reminder of Operation
Bright
Bright Star? But Operation Bright Star, the one thing I did not mention is that was a military customs duty there, mission. And what I mean by that is after Desert Storm was over, there was with all the soldiers coming back, there was so many weapons being smuggled back into the United States by the forces that the military came up with training military policemen as customs agents. And our first testing of that is I was one of the first to go to school, learn how to be a customs agent, and then I had to come back and train my soldiers to perform those duties in Egypt, so that we will stop the flow of illegal.
That's just incredible. You do the Air Force, you do this, you do that, you do them all, and then when you came home, of course, check this out. He received an award, a certificate of appreciation from Charlie Wells. I think most of you remember Charlie Wells, and he in there's a letter from a commanding officer for you. Must have been his bodyguard. I guess you served as his guard and for him. I don't know, but you got so many in there. I don't know how you could even keep track of all the stuff you've done, Melvin. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Your life has been great. You've did all these different kinds of things, and you should be very, very proud. And if there are no other questions, I think that's gonna. Would you mind if we close the program at this point? Would that be okay with? Do you want to say anything else?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I'm gonna. I would like to close the program with Melvin. I thank our special guest, Melvin Evans. I also must thank the entire staff of METV for all the work they do as a team in making this program possible. Most of all, I must thank each and every member of our audience for taking some of your precious time to watch our program. There would be no America if there were no veterans. God bless each veteran, and God bless America.